I have 6 feminine hygiene products I want to share with you that I use when I am on my menstruatus, when I'm on my period. The first item that I want to talk about is a pad. It is a standard feminine hygiene product, and I actually don't have it with me because I no longer use them. They are the product that I've used the longest, and the last time I used them was after my births, like the big huge maxi pads. But here is a picture of some pads. They come in different sizes, different flow absorbencies. I always use a regular size with the wings, but I find that with pads I do have to change them throughout the day, maybe 2 to 6 times a day, maybe more, depending. Something that I found really helpful with pads was that you could just carry them around with you and put them in your purse, and if anyone else had an emergency, you know, it just is a really easy and accessible basic product that everyone can use. The reason why I stopped using pads was because I didn't like how it felt, and that's why I migrated to tampons. Now again, like pads, tampons, they look like this. They come in a package, and there are different sizes depending on the packaging that it comes in, but what you want to pay attention to is the flow. So this one is regular, as you can see the R, and this one is a super from the S. There are different absorbencies, and that won't really change how big the tampon is. It's mostly going to change the absorbency of the tampon. I've tried a different variety of brands, but I don't really have a particular favorite. I just use whatever's on sale at Costco. Now with the tampons, I find myself changing them as often and as frequently as I did with the pads, so between like 2 to 12 times a day depending on how heavy my flow is. So I think that's what was really annoying with the tampons, but I'll just show you real quick what it looks like. So there's the applicator for this one. Some of them don't come with an applicator, but it's not as sustainable or eco-friendly because these are only disposable products. However, I know that there are some pads that are handmade and sold online that are reusable and washable, and I'm actually really interested in looking into those because they absorb way more than regular traditional plastic store-bought pads. But you basically insert the applicator first into the canal, and then you push up this this little pusher and that will release the little bullet and then you have that string that will help you remove it afterwards. But the thing about tampons is that you do have to be careful of something called toxic shock syndrome, which may occur if you keep your tampon in for longer than 8 hours, and that can cause your body to go into a state of shock where you may have a fever or you may experience infection. So that is something that you do have to be careful of. I've had like several times when I've overslept and I was like afraid that something was gonna happen, but I didn't experience anything like that. I've also used tampons from a brand called OB before, and it literally comes like this in the package with a plastic wrap. So it doesn't have all of this excess plastic. It just came with a little tiny like saran wrap type plastic, and then you peel it open and you just insert it as is. And it also comes with the string like wrapped up at the bottom. Something that I just discovered actually last month were these protection underwears. And I actually haven't used this yet. I have tried it on, but I haven't used it yet. And they are disposable, but they do have maximum absorbency. I got them because they were on clearance, $10 for this box of 12. And I wish I had these after I gave birth, because after you give birth, it's kind of like you're on a constant period for like 2-3 months, because your uterus is basically shedding all of that lining and contracting to get back to relatively normal size, if you didn't know. So at that time I had my pregnancy underwear and I was using maxi pads, but I wish I had these because these are so much more convenient and comfortable than maxi pads. There is a pad at the bottom of the diaper and it's basically the absorbency of a maxi pad. It's even like longer than an overnight pad. It's pretty long. So I think this is great for just like the size of the backing and preventing any of those spills. Another item that I found super helpful for during the menstruatus is period underwear. I actually just discovered this last year. I think I've been using it for about a year or so. And these are from Lilova. There are a bunch of other companies that make period underwear. Mine can hold up to 5 tampons worth of blood in this tiny fabric. It doesn't feel like that uncomfortable, like plasticky, like scrunching that pads have, but they are washable, machine washable, hand washable, and I think the black is also very inconspicuous. So it kind of feels like I always have a liner on with these. Sometimes I wear a liner over top as well, depending on my flow, but they're great paired with tampons, or for those days where you're, you know, when you're almost done, but then you have some spotting near the end. And it's nice that it comes all the way, like the absorbency comes all the way in the back right there, as well as their line of period swimsuits as well. They have some swimsuits, and I actually like to wear this as a bodysuit because I haven't gone swimming in like years. But this is what the swimsuit looks like, and I kind of like to wear it underneath some layers, and it actually acts like a bodysuit with the protection of a liner and a pad at the same time. Next, I have something that is the most recent item that I have been using, and I finally figured it out because it took me quite a while to get it right. But it is the Nixit cervical cup, but it doesn't function like other cups that use suction to hold onto the top of the canal where your cervix is. What it does is it actually sits at the bottom and collects any fluid that flows, and you can keep it in for up to 12 hours. So you just have to change it twice a day, and it doesn't really overflow at all, unless like I'm like laughing like crazy. But it is made with 100% medical grade silicone, so it's super safe to use and keep in your body. It's also like a food grade, medical grade silicone, and I don't want to show you too closely because I have used it in the past and it does not look the same color that it did come. But this is what it looks like, and you basically squeeze it like this to insert it. It's around the same size as a tampon, and it's actually much more comfortable to insert than a tampon would be, because sometimes you get a tampon in the wrong way and it sits like really painfully. That doesn't happen with this, thankfully. And I find if you are trying to use a menstrual cup, especially a cervical cup like this one, it took me like a year to get this down because I was inserting it like a regular tampon, like upwards. However, that was causing leaks, and instead I should have been inserting it horizontally towards the back of my spine, and that way it sits really nicely along the base. What I really like about the cup is that I don't feel it throughout the day and don't need to change it as often as pads and tampons. Something that might be a con is the price when it comes to menstrual cups or period underwear, because they are reusable and they are crafted really well. They're not designed for disposal, and so they can be upward of $40 to $60 depending on what you get. However, that easily pays for itself after like 2 months of having periods. However, another con that I do want to mention is it may be tricky to start using a menstrual cup just because the application is much different than using a pad or a tampon, and it may be tricky to, you know, transition. Check out this video that YouTube recommends you to watch next, and let me know down below if there is a go-to for you in terms of your feminine product routine, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!